Hey, everybody, happy Saturday. I'm trying to get myself settled here. Listen, I can't, you know what, it's going to be really hard. I'm trying to fix my clothes, okay? It's going to be really hard for me to say, how book club is going to go, like what day, what time, whatever, because my weekends are booked and busy, right? So, matter of fact, today I went to an African themed book signing event. My girlfriend's daughter, along with several other young authors, wrote a book called The Four C's. When I get a chance, I should have had it on my desk. I will go back and get it just so I can kind of show y'all. Young lady, powerful young lady, actually went on. I don't know what to kind of call it, but she went to Africa with a group over there to kind of like serve and mentor the people. I mean, she's an amazing young lady. Is part of one of the authors in this book called The Four C's. And if I get a chance, I kind of show that to you later. So I was there and I was just kind of hosting the event with another young lady that pulled the whole book thing together for my girlfriend. And look at these, because I have this is all sorry, y'all, before I get into book club. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? So her daughter gave that to me after the event. How gorgeous is that? Is that beautiful? They're real. They're real. So I gotta see how long they're gonna last. But I actually am giving my girlfriend a pretty in pink what do you call it? A pretty in pink luncheon on, I think it's the second week in July. And so I'm thinking now maybe this will be something like this will be what I will put on the tables. But isn't that cute? And then my girlfriend, because I'm trying to be a plant mommy over here, okay? I'm just telling y'all really quickly. And my girlfriend kind of gave me this as, being the host, one of the hosts of the event. So I got that. So hopefully I can keep my stuff alive over here, okay? But anyway, listen, welcome into the building. I really thought I was like, oh, I'm probably going to be here by myself. Why? Because I didn't even wasn't even able to give anyone a heads up that I was going to do book club at this time. Thank you, Savannah. Isn't it gorgeous? It really is. Like it's really, really beautiful. And I love the way I love this case, like the thing that it's in. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll do something like that for my pretty in pink event, which I'm still trying to find an outfit for, but that's another story. So anyway, with book club, hey best IBK. I know that everybody's kind of doesn't get the notifications, so I'm just like, all right, whatever, I got to do book club because I want to go through rule 3, right? So what we on? Hey Fifi, I see you. So we're doing this book, The 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty, right? How to find it, keep it, and let it go, because sometimes you got to let it go. No matter how much you love a person, maybe that person is not good for you and you got to let them go. So we are currently on rule 3. So after this week, we'll have 5 more to go. I'm going to do 1 per week because that's all I can handle right now. Okay. And I think I finally decided, because I didn't know how to give away the book. I finally decided what I'm going to do is when I get to rule number 8, that's when I'll give away one of his books too, and I'll figure out how to give it away to like a lucky winner. So we'll do that. So rule number 3 is, it says define love before you think it, feel it, or say it. So it's, it was an amazing chapter because he pretty much walks you through the steps on before you can, even invite love into your life. You got to think about it. You got to define it. You got to know what it is you're looking for, or else you're never going to be happy. Even if you bump into a great or amazing person, you're never going to be happy. Now, Jay Shetty is a motivational speaker, and he used to be a monk. So he spent some time in his life, studying to be a monk and being a monk. Right, Nubian, you're here for it. I thank you. Thanks for being in the building. So before I even get into some of the details on what Rule 8 is, I want to go to Jay Shetty Instagram. So I'm going to share a screen with y'all. And I just want to show you one of his quotes. So he says, no matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all. Integrity is everything. And I really do stand by that and believe that. And then there's a little thing that he did right here called Remember This. I kind of want to play that for y'all really quickly before we get into it, because I thought it was a good little thing that he said. So let's see if I can play this.
I think this is a pressure that's created in relationships, especially in the early days, where people expect to spend all their time together. And if you're spending all your time together, then where is the time to grow independently so that you can improve each other's lives? And so if every night you go home and you put a show on together and you watch it, and that's your way of spending time together, you're not investing in or growing the relationship. And then 3 months down the line, you're wondering, why don't we feel any chemistry or any spark or any compatibility? Because you both haven't grown independently. So you haven't been able to grow together. I think this is a pressure that's created.
So I'll stop sharing the screen for a minute. I just thought that was really profound, and I really wanted y'all to see that, right? He's saying that, you know, sometimes we get our ideas about relationships from either movies we watch, or books that we read, or fairy tales that we grew up on. And it's like you feel like we got to spend every waking moment together, or you don't love me and I don't love you. But he's saying, and even in this rule 3, that's why I thought it was great to play that. Even in this rule 3, he talks about how, you know, you got to spend time together, then maybe spend time alone. Then you maybe spend some time with your friends. He spends some time with his friends. And then y'all spend time with some shared friends together. So you got to still be whoever you were before you meet your mate. And when I say that, I don't mean to the extent that, you know, every night a girlfriend is calling you and you're hanging out with them and not interacting with your mate, but you got to have some type of separate lives, and your lives come back together. And that doesn't mean that your separate life is 6 days apart, 1 day together. Doesn't mean that your life is 7 days together. It means that you find some type of balance. And that's pretty much what he talks about in rule number 3. So again, I tell you that rule number 3, it says define love before you think it, feel it, or say it. Okay. So knowing your heart. And when he says define love, it's not a typical definition, right? It is your definition of love. How do you feel, you know, and receive love? What are your thoughts on love? So there's a story in here that says, you know, pretty much in his household, he said, they grew up, they would eat dinner, then they would sit around and chat with each other. And he said, then they would clean up the dishes and everything from dinner later. His wife, they ate dinner, they cleaned up, and then they would maybe chat and see, you know, how people day went and so forth and so on. And he said, so neither one of those scenarios is the right way to do it, right? But it's your learned way that y'all learn separately. So he said when they came together and they would have dinner, his wife would be right away trying to wash the dishes. And, you know, sometimes you may have a thought process, if that person doesn't want to wash dishes right now too, they're lazy or they don't want to help you or whatever. And he's like, no, that may not be the case. It may simply be because that's not the way that they learned how to, you know, do things after you have dinner. Like, so think, you know, it's just thoughts like that. Hey Rebels, everything's good. I had a great Saturday so far, and I hope that y'all are also. So this is rule 3, and it's just giving you, he's just telling you in his 8 rules of love how to define love before you even go out there searching and looking for love, right? So in this one, he says, we say I love you, or we wait for the right time to say it, or hope someone will say it to us. But there is no universal agreement as to what it means. For some, it means I want to spend the rest of my life with you. For some people, saying I love you means I want to spend the night with you. He said between those two intentions are infinite others. And some of us say without any particular intention, but in the moment, we just feel something we interpret as love. That leaves a lot of room for confusion, miscommunication, and false expectations, right? Writer Samantha Teller says, the first time I told my now husband I loved him, we were spending one of the most long nights on the phone early in our dating relationship, back when people actually talked on the phone. Delirious with sleepiness, I told him I wanted to tell him something. And he said, you know, pretty much tell me. She said, I wanted to tell him I love you, but didn't want to scare him off, right? He said, don't worry. He told me, saying, I love you isn't a big deal to me. I love my mom. I love my friends. I love you too. So he said, great. So she was afraid to say, I love you, because for her, saying I love you meant something so deep, so passionate. And, it took time to really love someone like that. And for him, he's like, it's no big deal. I love everybody. I love you. I love my mom. I love my sister. I love the dog. I love the cat. So he didn't have this deep meaning about love. So saying I love you to somebody wasn't that big of a deal to him, right? And so I found this part interesting because he said in his book, he said, a survey showed that men are quicker to say, I love you, which I found that interesting, right? Men are quicker to say, I love you than women, taking their average of 88 days. Okay. So they said when a man meets you, it's about an average of 88 days before they will say, I love you. A whopping 39% of them declare their love within the first month. So they're saying that, about 39% of men, when they're dating you and they meet you within the first month, they'll come out and say, I love you, right? And then they said women take an average of 134 days, right? And 23% of them declare their love in month one, okay? It's hard to imagine that people who feel love within weeks actually live up to what their partners think the statement means. So he's saying there that males and females, they take a different time frame before they will say I love you to their partner. But they said he also saying that people that say it within 30 days, he's saying that do they really mean, I love you the way you think they mean it? The first one, love bombing. Come on, Fifi. Like that's 30 days. I mean, even if you spent every single day with that person for 30 days, do you really love them? But in the book, they're saying that the problem with that is that Best IPK said 39% of men are frauds and 23% of women are fakes. You know what? That could be it too. But what Jay Shetty is saying that we all have this different definition of love. So maybe that 39%, that 23%, their definition of love is not the same as ours. So it's easier for them to kind of say it, right? But I can go with, like they said, the average for men is 88 days and the average for females is 134 days before they say, I love you. So now in this book, he said there are 4 phases of love. Okay. And the 4 phases of love are attraction, dreams, struggle and growth, and trust. Right. And I like the way that he broke this down into 4 different categories. And so number 1, we have to be clear, right? Most of us on when we first meet somebody, the first thing we see is, are we attracted to them? And saying, are we attracted to them and are they attractive is 2 different things, right? Because I could be attracted to somebody and think they're the most beautiful person aesthetically in the world, and somebody else can think the total opposite. So it's not about so much, are they physically attracted to the world? It's, are you connected? Are you attracted to that person? So they said, pretty much we all, first sight kind of connect to somebody based upon what we see, right? And then after we get past what we see, we have to learn to dig a little deeper. So in phase 1, we feel a spark of intrigue, interest, and attraction. This makes us want to figure out if the person is worth our time and effort. Researchers describe what we call love as the distinct drives in the brain: lust, attraction, and attachment. When we move from lust to attraction, with taking the generalized desire to connect with someone and focusing on a specific person. The brain chemicals involved in lust differ from those that produce attraction, okay? And so pretty much in this whole attraction phase, Jay Shetty explains a 3-date rule, which I thought was really interesting. So he said, you need to have 3 dates with this person. And when he said, and you're going to do some specific things during these 3 dates, but these 3 dates don't have to be consecutive, right? And these 3 dates doesn't physically mean, oh, it was date number 1 when we got together, date number 2, or date number 3. So you can physically have, for instance, 10 dates with someone, but within those 10 dates, you need to have 3 dates that deals with these 3 situations that he's going to talk about. So I found it really interesting, right? Hold on one second. Hey, in my opinion, what's up? How you doing? Can you hear me? All right, I'll keep talking. I don't know if, in my opinion, can hear me yet. Okay, so he tells you that you need to have these, it's a 3-date rule, right? And in this 3-date rule, he said, in my experience working with clients, 3 days usually provide enough time to determine if you and the other person would be a good match. Okay. These 3 days don't have to be your first 3 dates. You don't have to do them one after another. You can spread them out. Sometimes it's nice to just see a movie. Okay. So hey,
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Diva?
Mm. Doing well, doing well. I figured, I had an event to go to today. So I went to the event and I was like, you know what? I got to keep continuing these 8 rules. So I was like, let me just pop on here really quickly and do rule number 3. And, rule number 3 is to find love before you think it, feel it, or say it.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought this was a good chapter, this rule number 3.
Oh, 3, 4, and 5 had me like in tears.
Isn't it? Yes, isn't it good? Now, I like when he said that. Let me go back to it really quickly. He said, there's 4 things. There's attraction, there's dreams, there's struggle and growth, and then there's trust, right? And in the attraction phase, he's saying that, there's a 3-date rule. And not to say that these are the first 3 days that you go on, or you go on 3 consecutive dates and you do that. He's saying within your dating time, right? If you have 10 dates, out of that 10 dates, there's 3 things, there's 3 dates that you should have within those 10 that deal with this 3-date rule, which I thought was really great. And so he said sometimes it's just, you should just go to a movie together and just let it be a movie. Just enjoy each other, enjoy the movie, right? But he said at some point when you get to a comfort zone, you need to focus 3 dates on these 3 suggestions that he gives. So he said, date 1, do you have fun together? Do you really enjoy each other's company? Does your conversation flow? What makes you comfortable and what makes you comfortable and what makes him comfortable, right? Or your date comfortable. The first date is to find out if you really enjoy each other's personalities. To do so, you need to shift between small talk and deep talk. The topics we gravitate towards, favorite movies or vacation plans, don't help us know people deeply. Instead, you can start to ask questions that inspire both of you so that you can get to know more information about each other, right? And he says, some suggestions he has, right, is like saying, what's something you love to do? Do you have a favorite place? Is there a book or a movie you read or seen more than once? What is occupying your thoughts most at this moment? What's something you wish you knew about more? What is the best meal you ever had? So again, he's not saying that this should be your first date, even though he's calling it date 1, but he's saying at some point in your dating period, you need to have this date 1 and you need to dive a little deeper and ask these certain questions, right? Or ask questions that is going to pull out of the person who they really are and what they're about, right? And now this date 2, he said you need to have. He said date 2, you could come after any number of dates spent dancing or going to museums or talking casually over dinner. But knowing that you enjoy the same movies or like the same cuisine doesn't really tell you if your values are compatible. Gently encourage your date to share meaningful stories and details about their life. So yes, Savannah, invested conversation. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, invested conversation. So he says some of the questions you can ask in date 2. Who's the most fascinating person you ever met? What's the most out of character thing you ever done or would like to do? Have you ever had a big plot twist in your life? If you won the lottery, what would you spend the money on? What's the most spontaneous thing you ever done? What is a tough thing you dealt with in your past? What makes you proud? What would you do if you had enough money and did not need to work? So in other words, like, these are prompting questions that will help you get to know the potential person that you are dealing with and trying to date. Rebel says, saying I love you to me has to come from the heart, not after sex or just a spare of the moment. And you know what, Rebels? That is a good thing you brought up, because I have a part in here where he's going to talk about how having sex too soon kind of distorts your mind in the relationship. And that's how you end up ignoring red flags, because you pulled out these sexual emotions and it twists your mind to think love is going on. So I like that you brought that up. But yes, I have a part in the book where I'm going to read where he talks about that, right? And so date 3, he said, should occur when it feels natural to share some of your ideas for the future. Just as you don't need to share the same values, you don't need to have the same goals. One of you might have your whole life mapped out, and the other might still be exploring what their life meaning is. On date 3, you can try out some deeper questions, such as the ones listed below. Do you have a dream you like to fulfill one day? A job, a trip, an accomplishment? What would you like to change about your life? If you can meet anyone, who would it be? If there's a single moment or experience that changed your life, is there someone you consider to be your greatest teacher? So on that first part where it says attraction, he's saying that you need to date each other, but it needs to be purposeful dating, so that you can get out of the person. Do we really connect? Are we really going to vibe with each other? And he also says that you have to say to yourself, you don't have to share the same dreams as a person, but are you willing to help them fulfill their dreams? And are they willing to help you fulfill yours? In my opinion, what are your thoughts?
I think this was a good lesson to have, because you don't think about the questions that you're asking and how they actually impact your relationship. But like I said, reading this book, like, I found a newfound logic to his answers, his questions, what he was asking you to do. It seemed like that could be pointless, but it wasn't. It was like really eye-opening.
Yes, definitely so. So Savannah, when you said, can somebody send me the link to Shirley Strawberry? Sorry, being messy. I do not have the link. I didn't really get all entangled in that particular story. I know if you Google it in YouTube, I'm sure 1,000 videos are going to come up, because so many people have been covering that particular story. So sorry, I don't have it. But there are a lot of people covering that story, which is, I don't want to get off the track here, but that's a whole nother sad, twisted situation that's going on. But you know what, to bring that in a little bit, in my opinion, had she been interested, because you have to be interested in wanting to find out more about the person you're about to get involved with, right? So had Shirley Strawberry been interested in really finding out more about her husband before she said I do, maybe she wouldn't be in a situation that she's in right now. That's just my thought on that. I don't know what your thoughts are.
This is the thing, Diva. I feel like sometimes as women, we ignore things that we should really look at. Like, I feel like sometimes we lust and feel that it's love.
Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, you know what, Savannah? I see what you're saying now. I misread what you said. You said, can somebody send her this link? Thank you for repeating that. So you know what, Savannah? I'm going to be very honest with you. I kind of was saying this too, in my opinion. Some people, they're not interested in having healthy relationships. So they really need to heal themselves before they can ever bump into a healthy relationship. So with Shirley Strawberry, I think that she allowed herself to, get caught up in I'm lonely. And then she was willing to take any piece of a man versus just, waiting for her turn and to, get into a relationship with somebody that was probably more compatible for her and with her.
And she wasn't praying for the right thing. Like, you have to be, when you say I'm praying for somebody to come in my life, you have to be a little bit more detail with your prayer. Like, you have to tell him what you really want. And I don't think she was detailed enough. She was like, yeah, I want a man. She ain't say she wanted a good man. She ain't say she wanted a confident man. She ain't say she wanted a upstanding man. She didn't say none of that in her prayer. She just said she wanted a man. And sometimes he give you what you ask for. He gave her a piece of a man.
Woo. Yeah, that story is like, whoa. I'm shocked. And I'm not shocked at the same time.
Well, I'm shocked because here it is, you the one giving out advice, and I'm like, baby, you need to be taking your own advice.
Well, you know what though? Haven't we seen a lot of personalities give advice that they didn't follow themselves? I mean, we can name countless ones that have done it. Wendy Williams did it, if we be
That's
honest.
true, but I don't think Wendy Williams made her platform to tell people, like, write me so I could tell you what to do.
She
She
did.
made this her platform. She was like, write me so I can help you. And it's like, baby, you need to help you.
Yeah. She didn't, but I mean, it's still numerous people that feel they want to give advice, but they're not walking the same path that they're claiming, to give the advice to people. I mean, we can name countless people that have done it. Yeah. But when High Vi said, I feel sorry, I feel for Shirley, but I have to say I was looking at her sideways when she married him and said on the radio that her daughter would be living with her mother and will be living with her mother instead of staying with her. Well, you know what, High Five? Well, that's interesting. Now, that part I didn't know of the story. That's interesting because that would tell me right there, you knew when you was marrying him that something wasn't right with him, that you wouldn't even trust your own daughter to stay in the house with y'all. Well, I'm giving her the side eye now too. I mean, the plot thickens on that Shirley story. And in case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, we're talking about, I guess I'm gonna call it a co-host from the Steve Harvey show. She always does a strawberry letter where her husband has been accused of many heinous things, okay? And he seems to be a whole hot mess. And so that's who we're talking about, Shirley Strawberry. But like I said, if you Google and YouTube, you can get, connected to the whole story. Exactly. Either that or she just simply put him before her child. Hi, Bob. I'm feeling like she knew. She knew. I'm feeling like she knew. And that makes the story even sadder, right? I think it was a mixture of both. I think she knew and she wanted a man more than she wanted to be a mother at the time to her child. We need a book club saying like choo choo. What do y'all think? Yes, clear. Yes. So to get back to this, I like the way that he's helping people learn how to date, learn how to find healthy love, right? Because we don't know how to date really. We just wake up one day, you say you want a girlfriend, you say you want a boyfriend, and then stuff just happens and people learn while they're dating how to date. And then, they make a lot of mistakes on the way. And then hopefully I guess they feel like if they land upon something right, they do. So I like the way that he's telling people that perhaps don't know or that has perhaps been in a vicious cycle to, this is how you can approach dating. So I did like that. Any more thoughts on that? In my opinion?
I just feel like he was teaching you healthier ways to actually do it that would benefit you more than the ways that you've been conditioned to, like not listening to stuff on social media, not taking, into account the stuff that you've actually seen, but actually having an insight into what's actually going on when you're dating.
I like that. You are correct. And I feel that way too. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Now, he said phase 2 is dreams. Okay. In the second phase of love, many of us move fast. Our attraction to the person tells us that we might match our dreams, but our dreams can cloud our vision of the other person in our own needs. In this phase, we try to dismantle false expectations and focus on designing, building, and nurturing a strong relationship based on realistic expectations rather than intoxicating dreams, right? And so he pretty much says that, here we just dream, we just have these dreams a lot about how love should be, how relationships should be, how our routine should be, and all of that. And he's pretty much saying, you got to release those dreams because everybody comes into a relationship with baggage. He said everybody. And sometimes the baggage is simply your routines that you have, right? My routine may be that I take out the garbage every Tuesday, but you may want the garbage taken out on Monday. That's my baggage. So when they say baggage, baggage is not always necessarily like these deep rooted things that happen to you. Baggage could be simple little things that your routine, you are so used to it. And if someone tries to break it, that puts tension between you two. You're like, take out the garbage now. You know, like my whole life, I took out the garbage on Tuesday. What's wrong with me taking the garbage out on Tuesday? If you want the garbage out now, take it yourself. So it's stuff like that that you have to let go of, right? Now, let me tell this because somebody in the chat said this earlier, addressed this issue, right? And it says clinical psychologist Seth Meyers advises new couples to exercise quotient, right? In Psychology Today, he writes that a lot of physical interaction right away heightens emotions and can color how you see the other person. Looking at them through rose-colored glasses can make you overlook red flags that would be more apparent or concerning if you were under an influence of bonding chemicals we release as a result of physical contact, especially sex. Plus, you're forcing emotional intimacy with someone you barely know. And as Myers points out, if you don't really know the person, eliciting intense emotional reactions, you put yourself at risk. Okay? So he's pretty much saying that, naturally, just naturally, when you have physical contact, there is so much more going on between y'all two that you can't control. All of these natural endorphins and all of that come into play. And so now you got all of this coming into play with a person you barely know. So you got mixed emotions going on in your head. You feeling like you love them. But meantime, it's not really love. It's just you evoked and fast forward those emotions because you slept with the person. Now you feeling all of that for a person you barely even know. And now there's red flag after red flag after red flag, and you can't see it. Why? Because you already did the do. And now you all messed up. And he said it's going to lead you down to a path of heartbreak. So I'll stop there for a moment because I thought that was a very interesting thing that he pointed out. Hey, Savannah, welcome into the building. Any thoughts on that? Just moving too fast physically in a relationship.
Hey, Diva. Hey, in my opinion, and panel. No, I absolutely enjoyed this chapter. And as I stated before, I went back and highlighted a lot of this. In my relationship, my partner and I, we live in 2 different states, and we've been dating for 7 years, and we absolutely enjoy dating each other. We live in 2 different homes, of course, and we make it a point to go no longer than 5 weeks without seeing each other, and we enjoy when we come back together, and make it a point to invest in each other, and make sure we shut the outside world. But we're both alphas, so. But I allow him to make sure that he is still the how can I say this? I still give him his space as being the man, and like, whenever he needs to come in and handle whatever, where there's the oil change or whatever needs to be done, kill the spider. I always say, no, you kill the spider. But whatever needs to be done in the house, I still allow him to take care of that. But it took us a while to get to that space where, because it took me some time to trust someone to come into my space and give him that authority, if that makes sense. But and that was giving someone that control again, because I was married for 23 years and I was that wife who took the kids to the soccer games and did the whole mom thing. And but when I got together in my second relationship, giving someone that trust to be in the driver's seat again, it took some time. So I definitely understood what he was saying again. So having that physical connection with him, it took us some time. It really went some months, but when it does, we have this amazing chemistry that uh, it is electrifying. So I definitely can see what he was saying in the book. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, and it happens really fast. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Okay, so I took this to a whole nother level
Mm-hmm.
because I had, when I was out, getting myself together, I had vowed that my body was my temple. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so I wasn't gonna let somebody destroy, what God had built up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna treat myself right. I'm gonna be all that. So when I was reading this, I was like, that's that standard that we feel like we have to give in, and you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold out because that's your precious gift. So it shouldn't be given to somebody that you in a lust with, or that you don't have any strong bonds with, because it will put those false images in your head because you want it so bad. You know what I'm saying? So it will put those false images in your head. So I just like that he broke it down and explained that, hey, if you do it too early because you want it so bad, it can give you that false image that, hey, this is what it is. And you do ignore the red flags because they be blaring at you. It's like they flashing, but you like, yeah, but it's good though. And yeah, I need it. And no, the Lord is telling you to stop. Okay. He's sending the people to tell you, no, pull over.
Yeah, pull over, yield, slow down. Yes, yes, yes. I totally agree. Hey, Dustin, how you doing? Okay, you might not have heard us. Okay, so what I thought was interesting too, as part of this, right? As part of phase two. Hey, Dustin. All right. As part of phase two is he said that y'all don't always have to be together every second. And I know, Savannah, like you're in different states, but it kind of even leans towards the same thing. It's like y'all have the great opportunity of doing something like this, of not always being in each other's face 24/7 because y'all got the distance, right? But he's saying even people that, if you could be in the same state, you could be in the same home, but every second doesn't have to be spent together, and it's going to be okay, right? And so he talks about having a social calendar, but the social calendar has to work for the both of y'all. And so this social calendar is, he's not saying everything he says in this book is not that he's suggesting you do this 100% to the T. He's giving you options if you're really looking for that closer connection and a relationship that's going to last, and a relationship that is going to be healthy, right? So in the social calendar, he talks about, here's a suggestion. Y'all could be together 3 nights a week, alone 1 night a week, shared friends 2 nights a week, and your friends 1 night a week. So, like he said, y'all be together 3 nights a week. And when I say together, I'm not talking physical, whatever. I'm just talking about, y'all fit, like y'all spend time together 3 nights a week while you're dating, right? And have an alone night. Like, this is your night to be with self. So you're never losing self within the relationship. And then if y'all got some shared friends that you're both kind of share together, spend 2 nights a week with them. And then your friends, your own personal friends, y'all have some time with your own personal friends. And this doesn't have to be a yearly, monthly, whatever schedule. But the point of this is, have some time together with your partner, have some time alone, have some time with your shared friends, and sometimes have some times with the friends that are just yours, and he has some time with the friends that are just his. So he's giving you like a blueprint so that you can have a healthy relationship, so that y'all will both be able to just share and understand and grow for each other. Now, I played this kind of early and not too many people was in the building. I want to play Jay Shetty words for y'all just one more time. For those that are already here, forgive me. For those that are not, I want to give them the opportunity to see this. So let me just share this screen one more time, because it kind of connects to what we're talking about right now, about you just having some time for self so you can grow and be better in your relationship. So this is Jay Shetty. He has an Instagram page. Follow him. All positivity with him. I'm sorry.
Created in relationships, especially in the early days, where people expect to spend all their time together. And if you're spending all your time together, then where is the time to grow independently so that you can improve each other's lives? And so if every night you go home and you put a show on together and you watch it, and that's your way of spending time together, you're not investing in or growing the relationship. And then 3 months down the line, you're wondering, why don't we feel any chemistry or any spark or any compatibility? Because you both haven't grown independently, so you haven't been able to grow together. I think this is a pressure that's created.
So he talks about how the world creates this pressure to make us seem like if you're a couple, you have to be together 24/7. And he's saying, let that go. That's not so. You need time to always keep growing yourself so that y'all can be better together. So I want to stop there before I read another really nice part that I liked, and just get some opinions on that. In my opinion, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Diva, you know I live by that. That's why me and the husband have separate rooms, you know. So listen, I'm telling you, I love him to death. But if we had to literally sit here and share the same space all the time, because he's OCD,
Okay.
okay? And I'm like a clutter fest, okay? I like everything to be right here by me, you know. I don't want to have to move once I get comfortable. So my night table is always crowded. You know, I'm always keeping something close to me if I need to, you know, change or something, you know, I won't get comfortable. So yeah, if we had to be in the same room, I would literally strangle him, and he probably would do the same to me. So we have separate rooms, and we make time for each other when we want to. And then when we don't want to be around each other, he go to his space. I'm in mine, happily ever after.
Boom. Boom. But you know what though, in my opinion, that's what this book is about too, right? It's about what works for the couple, not some fairy tale, not what you saw on TV, not what you see your friends do. What works for you as a couple? Savannah, what are your thoughts on that? With Jay Shetty and that part, like it's okay to spend time separately.
In my opinion, I think I trumped you. I have different states. So,
Oh, you definitely trumped me. That's all right.
yeah.
When you get
And
married, y'all ain't gonna be in different states. I'm pretty
that
sure.
is that is true, and I think that is our biggest challenge in the relationship, and our family and our friends. They are always asking us, when are we going to get it together, and that is our biggest challenge, because our work is demanding, and we both own our businesses as well, and I'm involved in different endeavors, and so is he has his own business in North Carolina, and I live in DC, Virginia area. And so we make it a point to always stay connected, and not go farther than 5 weeks without seeing each other. So we're constantly traveling back and forth, and we make sure that we stay invested in each other, and stay connected. But our family and friends are always getting on us, and when are we going to get it together? Our biggest challenge is to stay under the same roof, no longer than after. I think the longest we've survived so far is like about 5 weeks. After 5 weeks, he's one that won't use coasters, and then that drives me nuts. And so So little,
Then I will probably drive you nuts.
oh, those things just start driving me nuts, and those little habits, and and then I'm like, oh, okay, so now when are you gonna be leaving soon, or just little things like that. So but we are working towards that eventually, and once our schedules slow down. So I definitely understand. But when we started the relationship, we made sure that growth was one thing that we always stayed, making sure that we continuously grew, not only professionally but personally. Was something that was important to both of us, that we made sure that we grew professionally. We didn't stay, because that's what why we our first marriages failed, because um, that caused a lot of issues in our previous relationships. So I definitely understood what the author was saying there. So we'll definitely get it together eventually.
Well, I'm glad. Hey, Dustin. All right. So, what I liked in this book that he wrote, because sometimes we let stuff go on in our head that may not necessarily be so. And so, what I mean by that is, he said, instead of wondering why they never call, set a time to connect rather than leaving it up to hope or chance. Okay. Sometimes people sitting there like, oh, I don't know why he didn't call me or she didn't call me. He said, don't leave it up to chance. Okay. Set up a time to connect. Okay. He said, instead of thinking they're too busy for you, discuss how busy or available you are in the upcoming week. Okay. So you gotta work. And when I say work, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you gotta work for the relationships that you want. And to even figure out, and sometimes you put in the work to figure out that maybe this person isn't for me. And sometimes you put in the work and you find out that they are the perfect person for you, but you got to put in the work. So he said, instead of thinking they're moving too quickly, tell them you like to move at a slower pace, but it doesn't mean you're not interested. So, in other words, you got to use your words, right? He said, instead of thinking, oh, they're moving too slowly, tell them you want to make sure you got the same aspirations. So you got to speak to them and see if y'all on the same page before you invest all of your time and then later on to find out this person really doesn't want you, right? He said, instead of worrying because they haven't introduced you to their family or friends, learn about their closest relationship by asking questions and finding out who is important to them and why. Okay? He said, instead of wondering if they're seeing other people, asking if they want to be exclusive and hear them out. So the moral of the story is you got to be grown up and use your words. If you want to be in a grown up relationship, you got to learn how to communicate and use your words. And just in case you didn't know what words to use, Jay Shetty gave you a whole bunch in rule number 3. Okay, so get the book and utilize them. Now I'm going to go to phase 3. And he says struggle and growth. Okay, we're all meant to fall in love, be in love, and stay in love. But we can't do any of that if we expect every day to be Valentine's Day. Trouble is inevitable. It comes when, as a couple, we inevitably discover the various ways in which we aren't aligned. In phase 3, we confront those differences and disappointments and figure out if we want to put in the effort that's resolving or living with them requires. So he's saying, listen, stop with the fairy tales. I'm going to just summarize this part for you. Stop with the fairy tales. Life happens and it's okay. But are you two invested enough in building this relationship and dealing with all of your differences and figuring out a way, how can we deal with our differences and come together to a middle ground and push forward and still be together? But what you can't do is act like you okay with this situation and you're not, because that's not fair to either one of y'all. So I'll go back to you, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree, Diva, because eventually, that's me too. You know what I'm saying? Husband OCD. I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see a mess, it doesn't bother me. He sees a mess, it has to be cleaned up immediately. So
Mhm.
imagine 6 kids, that's when the whole house is full. So imagine 6 kids here, and if somebody drops something on the floor, immediately he knows it. Okay. I'm not noticing that. Okay. So that's what our arguments come in at. He's like, you didn't see it when they dropped it? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. It's too many people in the house. So then we have to go to our spaces and calm down, and then we can talk, because we can't talk in anger.
Right.
Because what we do is, I'm gonna know I'm right, okay, and I'm gonna get the last word regardless. And he knows he's right, and he's gonna get the last word regardless. So then we have to go to our corners, cool off, and come back when we're cool, because we will say some things they did.
Mm-mm. You know what's funny, in my opinion? I'm in the middle, right?
I'm back, baby. I'm
Yeah,
back.
okay, Justin, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks for joining. So I'm in the middle. I'm not totally OCD. I'm just a smidgen. And I can see a mess and not have to do it right then and there, but I gotta do it at the same time, right? So
Oh yeah, I
it's
gotta do it eventually, but he sees
no,
it
I
right
know.
then, and
You
he got
gotta
to
do
do
it right
it then. I'm like,
now. Yeah.
no.
And so that's what I'm saying to you. Like, I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, there's days I could be OCD, and there's days I could look at it and be like, whatever, I'm going to sleep. So I'm a mix of both worlds. So I do get it. I get that person, like you said, that they got to do it right now. And you like, all right, it's okay. And then there's times I see the mess, and there's other times where I don't see the mess. So, but like you said, y'all at least know that, okay, you know what? That's who he is. This is who I am. When our roles collide, he goes in his corner, I go in mine, and then we can come back together and solve this thing and figure it out, right? Savannah, what are your thoughts?
So he's the one person that I can go to. At home we're the same. We balance each other out, and so I don't have that issue at home. But he's the one person that when I feel that I'm being challenged at work, especially because I'm in a male dominated field, I know I can call him, and because I can go from 0 to 100 in an instant. He's the one person that I know I can call to, and he will quickly bring me down. So he's the one person that I know he can grab me and quickly bring me down. So he's kind of my balance, and so I know that he's definitely my comfort zones, if that makes sense. So I definitely that's he is my zen. So that's the one person I know I can always go to, and he brings me down and calms me. For some reason, he's the one person that definitely balanced me out. So I knew instantly the moment I met him, he was the one person that always balanced my soul. So I definitely knew he was the one.
Nice, nice. And it's a good feeling when you find out, right?
Oh,
So
now I want y'all to get together in the same state.
I know, right? Ah! She says they're working on it. They're working on
We
it.
are working on it. We're definitely working on it.
I'm excited for you. The phase 4 is trust, right? And it says after we have overcome a challenge together, we grow. We learn to tolerate, adjust, and adapt. The growth that we do together builds trust. Okay. Evaluating the breadth and the depth of your trust for someone is a way of understanding and defining your love in the fourth and the highest phase. So to summarize this, pretty much he's saying that once you know you can really trust someone, it's almost like you two have arrived. You two have really arrived. And Savannah, it sounds like that's where you are at in your relationship, because you know that no matter what happens to you throughout your day, you can call him and he's your safe space, right? You can say whatever and he's going to help you work through it and bring you back down to earth and all of that stuff. And so Jay Shetty is saying pretty much when you get to that daily trust, that's where dreams happen. That's where y'all have that bonding moment. That's where y'all pull everything together. And that's pretty much summing up rule number 3. It's before you think it, feel it, or say it, you need to understand and know what love really is. Before I come around with y'all with your opinions, I just want to show you something else from Jay Shetty's site. and this is his Instagram, right? And I love this. You forgave someone who wasn't even sorry. That's strength. That's big. And so nobody, when I show these things and I talk about these things, it's not really about becoming perfect, but it's about growing to the point where you can do things that maybe you wasn't able to do before, right? And I think this is the other video I wanted to show. I hope it is. Let me play it and see.
A study that talked about how our prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until age 25, which means up until age 25, we're primarily making decisions in love based on feelings and emotions. After 25, you're more likely to use reasoning and self-control. And this was one of the reasons why I was even saying for people who are dating after 25, why we struggle to find the spark. When you were 16, you felt the spark with anyone. As you get older, your self-control and your reasoning kicks in far quicker, and you're like, well, wait a minute, we didn't have fun that night, or wait a minute, we didn't do this.
Didn't like their shoes.
Yeah. And this is really interesting. I read a study that.
So that is the one I wanted to show. So pretty much I wanted to show that because sometimes people are trying to recreate what they felt in their younger years when they was in a relationship into what they felt in, later years in relationship, right? And so he pretty much gave you the point there. Anything that happened before 25, I'm going to equate it to you as just this free spirit. You didn't know no better, whatever the case may be. Anything after 25, your thought process when you get into relationships is different and you think differently. And that's why you have different experiences. And if you're trying to recreate something before 25, good luck with that, because it's probably never going to happen. So I'll go around and get some final thoughts here. In my opinion, what are your thoughts?
Diva, I love the thing you showed about the forgiveness, because forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you.
Yes.
And so if you forgive, you are stronger because you're not letting that person that wasn't sorry, you're not letting them off the hook. It's you're letting yourself off the hook. I don't feel animosity towards you because I don't have to. I don't require a space for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really, I'm telling you, I am so connected to him after reading this book. Like, I was in tears, okay? I was so in tears. Look, I was up here. I was like, we got to do this. And he was like, babe, we're already married. I was like, yeah, but we got to do this. And he was like, babe.
But you know what, though? He does talk about no matter how long you've been together, it's still always room for growth, right? It's still always room to learn more about each other and to get closer connected to each other. But yeah, it's funny. But yeah, I love him. I used to see little snippets of his stuff on YouTube, but like you, as a result of reading this book, that's how I found the book, because I saw some snippet of him on YouTube talking about it. But as a result of reading this book, I just feel like a greater connection to him. I like the way that he is dedicated to.
Well, I'm glad you got me onto the book, because, baby, I would not have known if it wasn't for you, Diva. So I appreciate.
Thank you. I feel like he is really invested and connected to making sure people have just great relationships overall. Just great relationships and in our great communication with each other. Savannah, what are your thoughts? Your final thoughts?
So I think that was the hardest part for me, and to learn how to forgive myself. And which was, I think that was last week's assignment, writing the letter of forgiveness, which led to writing a memoir, and then which led to me writing the book. And I started by writing a letter to the little girl, to the 7-year-old little girl, me, and writing, saying sorry to that little girl. And then I wrote a letter to my mom, and she's deceased, and then, saying sorry to my mom. And then I just started then I wrote a letter to the young lady, because in my 20s, I dropped out of college and to become a military wife, and I focused on my husband at that time, his career, and I ignored myself. So I wrote a letter to myself for saying, forgiving myself at that time. So that was the hardest part, being honest with myself, and learning, giving myself grace, and forgiving myself for all my past faults and the mistakes that I made and the actions and that I took, and then investing in myself and reinventing myself. And so all of that has put me in the position. And then giving, being able to trust in this person that came into my life, and building a relationship with God. And because when my mom passed, I was angry and going through all those steps of grief and everything that I went through. Because she passed while I was going through a divorce, and everything, all of that was hard. So
Yeah.
that was, and I was in school, and it was just a horrible time for me at that time. So writing that letter was a huge relief. So reading that in the book was the hardest part for me. So I went through 2 highlighters in this book. So thank you, Diva. Thank you, Diva.
Listen,
And I look forward to the next book.
yeah. Thank you for sharing. And like you said, I think it's hard for a lot of us to kind of circle back and maybe forgive our younger self. But a activity that seems like, how could this help me? People would be amazed on how it really does help you. How it really does help you. So I have this saying that says, you know what, your feelings need a home. And a home sometimes is simply journaling. A home sometimes is, maybe if you feel in a safe place to tell someone else, but your feelings need a home. And when they stay inside, they wreak havoc in your body, mind, and soul in so many different ways, right? And it shows up in very negative ways because our body is built to heal itself. And when people hear that, they just think of like maybe a physical disease, but the pain you hold inside, your body tries to heal yourself in that way too, and it pushes out in different ways. And if you can go back and heal that piece of you that needs the healing, it will definitely help you in the future. So my condolences, about you regarding your mom. But I'm glad you found use in this book.
Sorry for your loss, Savannah.
Yeah,
Thank you, Justin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss too, because I lost my mama and it was rough. And let me tell you, my husband was no short of a miracle because I was pushing everybody away. If you can imagine it, I was pushing these people away. And I felt like because me and my mom was like best friends, you know what I'm saying? Like she was still my mama. She would tell me when I was wrong. She'd get on me all the time. But she was like my comfort, my peace. You know what I'm saying? If I was feeling bad, I could tell her anything. I mean, anything. Like I would literally go in the bathroom while she was in the tub and I'd be sitting there. She'd be like, "Can I take a bath in peace?" And I'm like, "No, mama, I need to talk."
Thank you.
Yeah, so I went through a lot of different grief. I even pushed my older kids away because I didn't want them to see me breaking down. And I think a part of me was feeling guilt. If that makes any sense. I felt guilty because when I got that call early in the morning and I rushed over there, you know what I'm saying? I decided not to ride in the ambulance for some odd reason. I said, no, I'm going to follow behind. And that's like the first time I've ever done that. Normally, I sit in there and tell her, no, you're not going to give up. You're going to fight. You're going to fight. You're going to fight. And then I felt like in that moment, I was like, I should have gotten that ambulance and made her fight. And I was putting that on myself. And then I had to spiritually tell myself, when it's her time, it's her time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not on me to carry that burden. She wouldn't want me to carry that burden.
Yeah, for sure. So to you also, in my opinion, my condolences. But, you know, going back for anybody out there struggling with whatever, if you revisit that time through paper and pen and kind of resolve it in your mind, it will definitely help. It will definitely help. So Nubia Mahogany said, it's so hard for me to journal. I'm trying it one more time to see how it works. And so Nubia, when I went to therapy once, my therapist told me sometimes people think journaling, like you have to sit there and just write out so much stuff about a specific thing. She told me to simply start either in the day or in the morning, right? She said, and you could just write one thing. You could write, you know what? Today was a good day. She said you can even write today sucks, right? But you let it out. You let it out, right? And said end it like that. And so she said, slowly but surely, add one more sentence than you did the previous day, right? So if you wrote one sentence the first night or day that you did your journal, try the next night to write two. And you will be shocked at how eventually the words will start flowing. Words will start flowing. And there's one meditation that I read that, you know, the one expert said you can do every night. Let's just say that during the day there was some incident that just didn't go your way, that didn't go well. Let's say you had a fight with somebody in the supermarket and you say to yourself, you know what, darn it, I wish I didn't get that crazy or go whatever. Before you go to bed at night, you know what, release all of that. And even though the person is not there, you know what, say, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you, or whatever the case may be. So you get all of that energy out of you before you go to sleep. And so you're letting it go. And then when you wake up and start a new day, you're starting fresh instead of carrying all of that baggage from the day before. So you can, like I said, YouTube has a lot of good meditations. You could say meditation because I'm angry, meditation to help me feel this, and meditation because I want to feel better. And it will come up. And then but you can also say meditation be under 10 minutes or whatever the case may be. So I would just encourage people to try it and always practice forgiveness, because forgiveness is going to save your life. As in my opinion said, it's a gift to self versus a gift to the other person, right? And so I have forgiven myself for allowing the wrong type of people who have hurt me. Yes, we got to let it go. Sometimes we really do get so mad at ourselves, and we got to let it go. Don't look in the rearview mirror, they say, so to speak, right? Let it go so that you can live the best life now and in the future. I want to share one more quote. Yes. Try it. Yes, Dustin. Uh-huh.
I was gonna say that I'm sorry that I had to leave because I had to eat my supper. So I'm sorry I had to mute, but I'm back now. And
Yeah, no problem.
sorry
Yeah.
that I was late because I haven't got the YouTube. YouTube hasn't been sending me the notification, so I was late to the live. So sorry I was late. I would have been here earlier.
No problem, because actually, Dustin, I put it up kind of late, so probably was late sending out my notifications. I'm gonna try to do better when it comes to book club. During the week, I kind of have my set schedule, but when it comes to book club, it depends on what's going on in my weekend, and I try to squeeze it in. But I wanted to share another quote from Jay Shetty, right? He said, be with someone who motivates you to do better in life, because relationships are more than just falling in love. It's about inspiring each other to become better versions of yourselves day in and day out. And I just thought that was a nice one to kind of close out with. I really appreciate Jay Shetty so much. I think he's an amazing person, right? Just helping us live our best life. Now, I will add this one more before we close out. I could be here with Jay Shetty quotes all day, but I ain't going to hold you up. He says, tell them you love them over and over again. Like, I overwhelm my son. I'd be like, come in, tell mommy you love me. I love you, right? Tell them too much and never too little. For the time we have is short, but the love we have is endless. And that's a quote by Dane Thomas. And I love this particular one, right? Tell them you love them over and over and over again. You know, don't let time go by and escape you. If you have a friend, you have a partner, you have whoever and you love them, share that moment with them. Let them know that you love them, right? Hi Bye said, I love journaling, but they will have to be burned before I leave this earth. LL. Listen, Hi Bye. There's some I have already thrown out. There's some I have already thrown out. And there's some, like when I go back and read them, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that's the space I was in at that particular time. So it's interesting too when you have to go back and look at some of your own things that you write. But journaling is definitely I don't know what word to use right now, but it's a good thing, and I love journaling. Okay. So listen, guys, thank you. This is 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. How to find it, keep it, and let it go. Because sometimes you got to let it go. We did rule number 3 today. We will be doing rule number 4 next Saturday. Don't ask me the time because it depends on what I have to do on Saturday before. Yes, thank you, Fifi. You gave me the word. It's very therapeutic, journaling. It's very therapeutic. So also, guys, I decided when I do rule number 8, that's when I'm going to give the book away. So we got 5 more weeks before rule number 8. So next week will be rule number 4. I hope you have the book. I also have it on Audible. So I kind of listen to it and then I mark the pages in my physical book. Because so I could recap it with y'all, but I love listening to it. I love reading it in the book. I'm telling y'all, it's a great book. And whether you're in a relationship with somebody, looking for a relationship, married, single, whatever, get the book. It's really going to help you out. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Love you back, Dustin. In my opinion, thank you for coming through. Savannah,
Hey,
thank you.
Diva.
Yes.
Love
Can
you
I
too,
make
Tina.
can I make suggestions on topics? Can I drop those in your chat or send them
Email.
to you?
Email.
Email you?
Yep.
Okay.
Email me at chroniclesgrayhead@gmail.com. I think it's running. Is my email running in this little ticker down at the bottom? If not, I'm going to update it to put my email in there. Best IBK said, Diva, can we chat about the Rolling Stone article about Jonathan Majors? It's a time bomb. Oh, yes. So, Best IBK, I'm going to add this to a trending topic. Yes, we can have the discussion. I'm trying to figure out my feelings, and maybe we can all dissect it together about this whole Jonathan Majors thing. Now, I'm going to say this now.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I won't change my mind come time for the conversation. But I'm going to say this about Jonathan Majors. Do I feel he has some issues? I do. Do I feel that his issues should be brought into this particular situation that he's going through right now? I do not. But I also know that when they trial cases, if I rob the bank and I robbed several banks before that, they may bring that into the situation when they're considering what to do about the bank that I just most recently robbed. It's a mess. But with Jonathan Majors, they're digging up every person he ever dated in his life. And a lot of them were saying similar things to as which the current girl is claiming that he did. I don't know how to handle this one. I don't know how. It's a mess. But I will say this. Can I say this? I think that no matter how this particular situation turns out, I do feel like, unfortunately, it's put a gray cloud over his Hollywood career.
It has.
Yeah.
I feel like it has, Diva.
Yeah. It's definitely put a gray cloud over his career. And I'm feeling
I think it's gonna. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think it's gonna damage damage his career to a point where it's not gonna be the same as it was before. I don't think a lot of people are gonna want to do anything with him after this is all said and done. Maybe that's just the way I feel. But I don't think
Got you.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be the same as it was before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what? Best, because the article is long, right? We could summarize it on the trending topics.
I think if he got the evidence that he say he got, I
Mhm.
think I think it's gonna look bad on the prosecutor more than him after it's all said and done. Because we gotta keep in mind, like, nobody is always perfect. Nobody's perfect, period. But I'm pretty sure you could talk to 20 people that know me, and all 20 of them is not gonna give me a glowing review. I mean, they're just not. I mean, for any reason.
But yeah, in my opinion, I agree with you that, and that's for all of us, right? But
Yeah.
all
Nobody's
20 of them are
perfect.
not going to say you tried to choke them out.
Well, they said in the Rolling Stones that, it's people that saying that he was good, and a childhood friend said they can't believe, he's being labeled this because he's never been that way, or whatever. But I don't know. It's just, it seems strange. You know what I'm saying? She didn't call the police. He called the police, and it's something that's not clicking in this story. And I just wish I knew what all of the details, but I don't. So I'm just speculating right now.
Yeah, no, best IBK. It's not odd to say it. I have sympathy for him because I feel like something is deep seated in him. Girl, we gotta talk. Best IBK, you trying to throw my little love train off the track here? You know what? Something is deep seated in him for sure. And I'm gonna say this. I believe there's a lot going on in his head, because I will say this. I know people they don't want to mess with their money, but I think it's a telltale sign that no one really. Anthony Mackie just recently came out and said a smidgen. But other than that, no one really has come out and vouched for him. No
And
one.
I don't think they're going to either.
Yeah. Time will tell.
I think they scared of what happened. Like, it's so shaky that you don't know. It's kind of hard for you to want to say what side you on.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? You can be neutral though. You can say, what's her name? Darn it. What's the little girl that was on the Bill Cosby show? Raven Simone. Raven Simone did an interview, and they asked about Bill Cosby, and they asked about Jussie Smollett, because I didn't realize those two were very good friends, right? And she said, listen, when it comes to Bill Cosby, she said, I feel like victims should be heard. She said, I feel like victims should be heard. So in other words, she was a very neutral, easy comment that she made, right? She said victims should be heard. If something happened to them, they should be heard. What she said to Jussie Smollett, she said, I can't comment on his particular life and situation. She said, only thing I could comment on is when our friendship. And she said, we're good friends, and I can't comment on anything else in his life. Right? So my thing is, you can comment on the time you spent with the man without trying to negate anything that perhaps happened to the female in the situation that he's involved in, right? I can say, well, in my opinion, comes to, the grade tribe, we ain't got no issues. I never seen that side of her. So I'm not gonna, I can't say what happened over there. I can only tell you what happened when she came over here, right? But I don't have to not say nothing. Just like right now, if they said something about Sherelle, I don't know what y'all talking about, but every time me and her interact, and we're good friends. I know the other side of her. There's a lot of times when people will send me emails about different panelists, right? And I don't feed into none of that. I reply back and say, you know what? This is the side I know of that person. So don't take no words that come out of their mouth to no extreme, because I speak to a lot of y'all behind stage, backstage, And I'm like, I don't see that side. And you just took a comment they said wrong. Don't take that one comment and now they're this horrible person. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So I say all that to say that you can speak on the behalf of the person you know without being disrespectful to the current situation that they're going through right now. So if I knew Jonathan Majors, the person outside of this situation he's being accused of, and he didn't do me dirty, when I spoke about him or the situation, I would simply say, you know what? I don't know what happened that night between him and the young lady, but I can tell you every time I interacted with him, I never saw that side of him. No one's coming to speak up. I feel like their silence is speaking volumes, but that's just me. But guys, thank you for book club. We will delve into that situation because if that's what y'all want, we're going to talk about it. I've been avoiding this slightly. I did a lot of Jonathan Majors videos. When I saw that article, I was just like, oh my. And there's a lot of articles where people are coming out and just saying not so nice things about him. Now, see, here's the thing. I do believe in this particular situation, there may have been a mix of both of those personalities crashing. And that doesn't mean that even if he did bad stuff in other relationships, that doesn't mean that that night he did that with that girl, right? But we don't know until we know. So listen, everybody. Thanks for coming through. I hope to see you next week for book club. I hope to see you during the week for all my recaps and trending topics.
Here, Diva. You know,
all righty. Have a good night.
For you.
Thank you, Diva.
All of y'all are, and I really do appreciate it. In my opinion, thanks for coming through. Savannah, thanks for coming through.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for coming through. I'll see you next time.
All
Good
right.
night.
Love you, Diva.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.